Look closely at the hands that hold the most consequential levers of power today. Across Western political systems, a ruling class is maintaining its authority well past standard retirement age, frequently serving until physical and cognitive decline is visible to the public. In the United States Senate, this longevity is a systemic norm. Senator Dianne Feinstein remained in office and cast legislative votes at age 90, even as her health was a subject of national concern. Senator Chuck Grassley continues to wield significant power in his 90s. These leaders maintain their grip on legislative processes for decades, often staying in office until the moment of their death. Professor Jiang Xueqin argues that this is gerontocracy, a system where the structures of government are designed to be ruled exclusively by the elderly. This demographic monopoly on power drives Western institutional stagnation. When the architects of a nation's laws are no longer invested in its long-term future, the capacity for renewal disappears. Biological programming creates a natural defense for this system. Humans have an evolutionary instinct to protect their elders, which acts as a psychological barrier that prevents younger generations from mounting a political rebellion against those in power. This cultural respect masks a predatory economic reality called the pension crisis trap. State resources are aggressively diverted away from the working population to sustain the financial requirements of the aging ruling class. Financial resources flow upward, siphoned away from youth-centric investments like schools and infrastructure to meet the rising costs of elderly pension funds. As the ratio of active workers to retirees drops, the system hits a point of mathematical collapse. We are watching a demographic time bomb where a shrinking pool of young labor is forced to support an expanding population of retirees. By weaponizing our natural empathy for our grandparents, the gerontocracy constructs an inescapable economic prison for the next generation. Niccolò Machiavelli warned that republics only survive through periodic, radical rejuvenation, a return to founding principles that restores the state's vitality. Aging elites block this process because they prioritize their own biological and economic security over the risk of change. Michel Foucault explained how modern states maintain this control through biopower. This is the use of administrative and statistical knowledge to manage and optimize the biological life of a population. Gerontocracies use biopower to prioritize the safety and longevity of the elderly. Every level of government becomes focused on the medicalization and security of the aging, setting the rules of society to favor those who have already lived their lives. Hannah Arendt contrasted this with natality, the vital energy of new generations to start the world anew. For Arendt, the constant influx of newcomers is the only force capable of breaking the entropic cycle of decay. An aging elite views natality as a disruptive threat. They attempt to neutralize the spontaneity of the young, reducing political action to controllable behaviors that do not interfere with their managed stability. The state reconfigures itself through biopower and the suppression of natality. It transforms into a terminal life support machine for its aging rulers. Even in free democracies, voters consistently elect politicians significantly older than the average citizen. This raises the question of why a population would choose to entrench its own stagnation. Many voters value an experience premium, believing that older candidates possess the political capital and connections necessary to secure resources for their constituents more effectively than a newcomer. This trend is global. In Eastern cultures, the concept of cultural tightness reinforces strict Confucian ideals of elder veneration. Leaders like Sheikh Hasina have maintained power through social norms that treat old age as a direct proxy for wisdom and insight. Even in autocracies, older leaders like Cyril Ramaphosa are often selected strategically. The goal is often to limit their expected tenure in office, yet this practice ironically ensures that the leadership remains permanently fossilized. Whether through democratic pragmatism or cultural programming, populations build their own gerontocratic cages. Stagnation is fatally mistaken for stability. James C. Scott's concept of the hidden transcript explains how the youth survive within this system. While they may appear obedient on the surface, they maintain a private discourse that rejects the legitimacy of their rulers. Younger generations offer outward deference to the elderly out of economic necessity and cultural propriety, playing the roles assigned to them by the state. Resentment ferments beneath this facade. In the hidden transcript shared away from the eyes of authority, the youth recognize their own subordination and wait for the system to falter. Lisa Wadeen's study of Syria provides an analogy for this hollow performance. Subjects outwardly praise the leader as an omnipotent savior, even though both the ruled and the rulers know the performance is entirely manufactured. This forced performance creates a brittle society. The appearance of respect is an illusion, leaving the system vulnerable to sudden ruptures when the hidden transcript finally erupts into public view. When a society extinguishes its capacity for internal renewal, it enters a state of political death. The fossilized power structure cannot adapt to change. Stagnant states often seek external release valves to maintain their authority. The elderly's fear of change translates into a demand for total security, resulting in the expansion of police states at home and persistent military intervention abroad. This leads to the terminal phase of the state, thanatopolitics. This is a politics of death that masquerades as the preservation of order and life. As the system faces collapse, it perpetuates itself by sacrificing the next generation. When these states go to war, the young are sent to die for the glory of a ruling class that will survive them. Gerontocracy functions as a cannibalistic system. It sacrifices its children to purchase a few more years of life for its dying rulers.